Hello and welcome. Today we've got Amy Satori with us. We're going to speak about her experiences in what brought her into the Great Awakening. Now, just before we begin, I would like for everyone to subscribe to my Telegram channel and to nicholasveniamin.com, which is my new platform for We the People. Now, if you're watching this for the first time on YouTube, I will leave the link below in the description for the full interview. Amy, thank you so much for joining me. Where do we begin with your experience?
Yeah, you're welcome. What I wanted to share with everyone today was my experience with enlightenment itself. My awakening, was a little slow going in terms of like finding out what's going on in our world right now. I was very open and I would listen, but there was a lot I didn't know, and I would say that, I thought people were being picky when they wanted to be like organic. And I thought, a lot of this stuff I didn't understand. And, but when all this stuff started happening, I opened my eyes and thank God somebody sent me Fall of the Cabal immediately. And my spirit guides told me when I said, what the heck is going on? There's no toilet paper on the shelves. Like, is something happening? And my guides said the one word that stuck with me through the whole thing. And they said, rumors. I thought rumors. And the more months that went by, the more I saw how true that really is, and has been. And so I wanted to share the experience that I had a few years ago. And now I've been enlightened about 2 to 3 times. And so I've been in the 5D, you guys. I know what it's like to be there, and it's not like being human. It's like in the world, but not of it. Seriously, it's very much like that. I was in it for 6 months and I couldn't think. I didn't want to think. I let thinking go completely and I lived in instinct. But a lot of people feel like you either have to do it through a drug, which I did not do, or they feel like, it's some kind of a temporary experience, or they think that they have to be totally in silence in order to experience this thing. And I was in the corporate world. I was a community relations director. It had tremendous pressure and I still was able to do it. So I wanted to share that experience so you guys can know what you're capable of, because your biggest weapon right now is next to guns, keeping your guns, would be to raise your vibration and be who you truly are, which I'm about to describe to you, who you truly are and what you're capable of right now. Because here's what happened. I was basically reading Eckhart Tolle's A New Earth, and it just rang so true for me that it hit me at my core. And I was like, this is true. This feels true. This is really true. Why aren't we all taught this? And I became I became a real student of it. I would set it down and I would read it 30 times, sometimes a paragraph, 30 times. And I'd be like, keep reading this. And then I went back and I would set the book down and I would in nature and see if I become a flower. If I stare at a flower long enough, do I become a flower? Like literally, like what is he talking about? So I would actually go out every day after whatever I would read, or I would be in my workplace and I would look around. Am I becoming the paper? Am I becoming the stapler? Everything he was saying, I took it quite literally and really tried to see because I wanted to see for myself, which is probably different than most people who read it just for information's sake. So I did that for about a week, and all of a sudden, and I would say the only precursor before this was I was a devout Christian, very, very strict. I was a Bible talk leader and all this stuff back when. And I had my eyes open to this side of things just by meeting somebody who was incredibly unconditionally loving. And and she taught me to take personal responsibility. If I called someone a liar, I then had to look at myself. How am I lying to myself, or how am I lying to others, or how am I deceiving myself, whatever. That was my only precursor, is really kind of growing up in the sense of taking personal responsibility. So here I am reading this book. It's suddenly coming to life. I felt like never ending story. Like, oh my gosh, this book is speaking to me, and all this stuff started coming to life, and everything. The colors started to become much more vivid and fluid almost. You would think I was on acid, but I wasn't. And everything was so much more alive. The walls would move. There was like an iridescence to everything and a glowing in my heart that was like, when you have these incredible memories as a kid or something, you look around and your family is laughing and the sun is filtering through the window during a Sunday dinner, and you just feel like this is the most incredible I could ever feel. It was like that times 20, And I had a fight break out in front of me once in that state, and wasn't threatened at all. I just watched the whole thing from an observer standpoint. I was still there, but I was about this small, way back, and I was aware that I had been taken over by a very loving force I considered to be either Yeshua, Jesus, or God. I didn't know, but I wasn't trying to analyze it. I just knew something very loving had taken me over, and I felt complete peace always. And I remember my boss, and instantly, like I would sit down to have a manager's meeting, and they would say, "We've got 13 rooms to fill in 2 weeks. I know this is a lot to ask, but do your magic, Amy." And I would just contemplate for a moment. 13 rooms in 2 weeks. That sounds like a good idea. And all of a sudden, people started pouring in the door, already convinced that they wanted me to be the one kind of looking over their families. They all knew which room they wanted. They all knew they'd been in for tours before, and the rooms filled up in like 2 days. And my manager called me back in and he goes, "I don't know what you're doing, Amy, but please just keep it up." If I was hungry, I would just think for a moment, I think I'm hungry. And somebody would knock on my door of my office and say, "Hey, I just made a sandwich and I've got extra blah, blah, blah. Do you want lunch?" And I would be like, "Thank you." Everything was manifesting almost instantly. It hardly took any time at all. So I realized the power of manifestation. When I was driving or brushing my teeth or doing my task at work or calling certain people, it was all instinctively led. The only time I even thought during that time was one time when I had to do a mathematical equation. So I thought, I think I could use a thinking tool right now. And I remember pulling down a tool and saying, "I'm going to think for a moment to do this math, and then I'm going to release the tool back up." And that worked. And I went back into that state. So the only thing that took me out of it was thinking. I started thinking again about a problem. But in retrospect, from this miraculous thing that just happened recently, I was told that happened because I had left. I had left and abandoned the world and I needed to come back down. So I needed an excuse of something that would pull me back into this experience again. And it tortured me for a long time. I started studying enlightenment. How do I get back to that state? I want to feel that peace again. Now I'm in fear. Now I'm worrying. Now I'm in lack. And now I'll never get it back. And I thought I'd done the worst thing in the world. And I studied for months about enlightenment. And I was like, all these people are trying so hard to find enlightenment. And I did it in 7 days and didn't even realize. And because of my sin or something, I got knocked back in the world, and now I'll never be rewarded with it again. It was this crazy thing. And it went on for years. Finally, I let the whole thing go. And I was like, I don't care. It'll come to me if it comes to me someday. I got to quit stressing about it. And when I let it go again, and I found myself in a situation where I felt I'd be supported in life adequately, I did it again within a matter of moments, just probably 5 seconds. And I enlightened again. And the second time I went through it, I couldn't even talk. I just wanted to sit in front of everyone who met with me and just say, shh, And I thought, how am I going to make a living doing this? Everyone's going to get the same one thing. Shh. And so that knocked me back into the world again because I worried about making a living and whatnot, right? But even that, having confirmed it with Yeshua, he's like, no, you needed to come back down. You keep wanting to get out of here, and we keep pulling you back down to help some more. So I was like, oh. So, yeah, it was the most incredible experience. And I would have to say, too, that most people who don't understand the way things work, they think they have to control things. And they think like a lot of people are looking for true love when they come to me, because that's my specialty, true love and celebrities. So they would say, but I'm a hermit and I'm in my home all the time. I never even go anywhere. How am I supposed to have this incredible experience? And then so I share these couple of stories I want to share with you guys, just so you know just how powerful you truly are. Using affirmations, having a positive vibration as much as you can, being silly, being fun, being funny, a sense of humor is key, you guys, to everything. So One time I was in Montana and I was out in the middle of nowhere. You guys know where Immigrant, Montana is? Chico Hot Springs, that area? There is nothing out there but a post office, a restaurant, and a bar. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So I was out in the middle of nowhere and there's a knock at the door, and the owners of this mansion I was staying in, a mansion, the penthouse in the mansion, somebody arrives at the door, which I got to stay in for free, by the way, which is another miracle. So the door rings and the owners of the mansion call me and they said, "Hey, Amy, you have a guest down here." And I was like, "A guest? An immigrant?" I go down there and she says, "Archangel Michael sent me. And then I'm to spend 3 days with you to tell you some things." And I was like, "Okay." I came from Mount Shasta. So she came from Mount Shasta all the way to Montana, knocks on the door, doesn't even know me, asks for Amy. Anyway, we spent 3 days together, become best friends. She teaches me how to automatic write. We talked about Qigong and processed that stuff. She told me about like my star family, that I'm from Sirius and all this stuff. And it was just incredible. And then she leaves. So she spent the 3 days and left. Then quite recently, I had said a set of prayers. You know, if anyone has an off the grid community that would like to present me with an opportunity to go be a part of it, then please have them cross my path. Another one was, Yeshua, when you come back, please make yourself known to me. Because I want to do what you're doing. I want to be a part of whatever you're doing, you know? So just last Saturday, this guy calls me from a hotel room, asked me to meet with him. And he didn't know who I was or anything. He just said, you picked up. You picked. Everybody else either was busy or wouldn't pick up. So I picked up, and I never do that. If I don't know the number, I never answer my phone. But I picked up on a Saturday, looking at the phone saying, who's calling me on a Saturday? How weird. But I get on the phone with him and he's like, I'm in a hotel room. So another thing that was like a red alert. No, I'm not going to a hotel room. Forget that. And then I just said, well, if I go meet you, I'm not going to wear a mask. And he said, I don't want you to. I'm fine with that. So I said, all right. And I got all of his information, everything that I could, so that I felt safe. I sent his information to my friends in case they came up missing. I went over there and he had gone through this incredible experience and he was enlightening and he was channeling Jesus, Yeshua. So we spent 6 hours together. He invites me to go out to Texas. And I was like, he's like, you're coming to Texas. I said, no, I'm not. Yeah, no, I'm not. I've been told that by some people, but no, I'm not. And then finally he said, all right, if I drive you and promise to drive you back or have someone drive you back, will you go with me? And I was like, So I went and I spent the most incredible week in Texas, almost of my whole life. It was so healing for me. It was healing for his family. It was just an incredible experience. And he was planning to build whole community and channeling Jesus, for days. I was just writing down all this information and just all of these incredible teachings. It gave me chills. I mean, all these incredible synchronicities while I was there. It was so mind-blowing and miraculous. I had tears and I was like shocked in awe watching him talk, saying this really resonates. It was amazing, amazing. So I just got back yesterday, 5 a.m. after driving 20 hours and getting 3 hours of sleep yesterday. It was just insane. But that's what I mean. Like if something is meant to be and you're pouring your heart into these, I always pray like, thank you so much for bringing this to me. Thank you so much for this incredible opportunity coming to my door. Thank you so much for this amazing adventure. Thank you so much. Like things that you don't have yet or don't, I just pray as if it's already happened and it just comes to me. So if you want true love, thank you so much for this true love coming to my door. Thank you so much for this true love crossing my path. Thank you so much for this incredible husband I have who's so supportive and loving and kind and compassionate. He's totally got my back and would do anything for me. Say those things. That's one thing that Yeshua confirmed too. He said, speak it all into being. That man did not say one word that wasn't speaking something into being. He didn't complain. He didn't talk about plans. He just said, whatever you do like for a living, if you're doing it out of passion, if you really love what it is you're doing, Don't be the best at it. No, you are the best. You're the very best psychic there is in the whole world. You are the very best interviewer in the whole world. Like, stake your claim on it and know your power and know your worth. And so, yeah, I just watching him, he was really living it. He was really, there was no complaining. There was no normalness to what he was saying. Every word was what he was manifesting. And it was incredible, just incredible. So you guys just focus on the timeline you want to create, put all of your attention and all of your focus on what it is that you want to have happen as if it's already happened, and stop watching anything scary. Even through this awakening where I've been, watching all these channels and wonderful channels like yours, I've been picking and choosing what I watch, because are they uplifting? Do they excite me? Does their message excite me? Do I resonate with it? Do I feel that's going to happen? Because according to your faith and according to what you believe, it will be done. Mm-hmm. There will be people in the 3D and the 5D in the same world that will not experience each other. You could have a whole world breaking out and still staying in their mask years from now, while the rest of us are growing our gardens and cultivating these wonderful communities and having these beautiful experiences, growing this new earth. At the same exact moment, all of this other stuff is going down, and you're only going to see your experience in the 5D because that's what you resonate at. That's the channel you're tuned into.
Yeah,
so,
I agree with everything you've said. I resonate with it all. I feel like there's two timelines. One's the 3D, that everyone's scared, they're going to die, vaccinations, masks. And then we've got us, who we're like, we're in the Great Awakening. We believe in the free world. We believe in manifestations. We feel it, and that's why we look crazy to the ones that are, in 3D. They don't even question things that they can see in front of them. Yet we can question the things that we feel because of our strong intuition. So such a big difference there, But yeah, no, there is, and you create your reality, right?
You really do. Every thought you choose. So now here's one thing that happened in my enlightenment experience too, the one where I was there for 6 months.
Sure.
I remember sitting in an office one time, that same office. I was there a lot. And I remember feeling the energy of this kind of I guess you would call it like an orb. An orb or a bubble started to come into my awareness. It was out of the corner of my eye, like my peripheral, but I saw it coming in. And I remember the second I was aware of it, I felt out intuitively without it feeling like I was feeling into something intuitively, but I just did it automatically because you're living intuition when you're enlightened. And I just felt into this bubble, and I could feel that it was going to, if I were to entertain it or listen to it, it's kind of like if someone answers the door. You're not sure what that person's going to say on the other side of the door, so you just kind of sense or feel. It was like that. Do I want to open the door? And what I felt was whatever it was going to make me afraid. Like maybe it was going to say, I don't know if you can keep your job in this enlightened state. I don't know if, like the little devil on your shoulder was about to say something in that bubble. And I chose in that moment, I don't care to look at that. I don't care to see whatever that is, because I knew I was protected by God. I knew that I was pure love. So why would I entertain something that could threaten me or pull me into a state of lack? So I decided to stay on track and stay aligned, and to not to just simply ignore it. And sure enough, it floated away, it went away, and I never did have anything threatening or scary or anything happen to me. It would have all been in my head. So truly, whatever is before you in this moment right now, you and I talking to each other, there is nothing else in existence. There's Absolutely. No planet. There are no masks. There are no people. There's just you and me, two talking heads,
Well, yeah.
Anything outside of that just isn't true.
It's our reality that we're speaking right now. Anything that happened a few seconds ago is history. It's done and dusted. It will never, ever come back. So why should I even think about it unless I'm going to learn from it to improve the future? But saying that also the future hasn't come, which could even be the next 5 minutes. So why worry about that? I'm in control of what happens right this present time, so, and that's what meditation's about. When you focus on the present moment is, you feel that, you don't stress or you don't have anxiety because you're living in the present.
Yeah. And I will give you a little secret. Yeshua told me too, as with everything in the Bible,
yeah,
it's a mess. The Bible's a mess. And that's coming from a Bible talk leader from way back when. The Bible is full of lies. It's full, just like the devil is the master of lies. The devil is all throughout that Bible. Luciferians created the Bible, King James, Luciferian, all of that stuff, right? It's the belief in Judgment Day that will bring Judgment Day to those who believe in Judgment Day. Those who don't believe in Judgment Day could choose to believe in Jubilation Day, Celebration Day. Like there's going to be a day. I mean, truly Judgment Day, you know what it's going to look like? It's going to look exactly like what happens when we die. We go and we have a life review where we have flashes of what we've done to other people to hurt them. And we are put in their body, in their consciousness and everything so that we can feel the pain inflicted on them by us and vice versa. I mean, the other way around in terms of love, like people that we've loved passionately and they didn't love us back, or people who we loved, tremendously, unconditionally, that they had never experienced before. We get to be them feeling our kind of love. We get to feel all of that. So all aspects of all of it, we are shown that. You guys don't have to worry about these guys getting hung or getting theirs or being tortured back or any of that stuff. Drop all judgment, because trust me, what they will be doing to themselves on the other side when they pass away, a lot of them have already, and they've seen this, I'm sure, but that's Judgment Day. As you getting these flashes of torturing these children and what that felt like to have your skin ripped off while you're alive, whatever those awful things that they did to those children, they're going to feel it, you guys, exactly like the children did. So don't you worry about them getting theirs, or if they died or whatever. And you're like, well, they got out of it. They committed suicide. That's awful. They didn't even have to pay their price. Oh, yeah, they did. Oh, yeah, they did. So watch what you believe in, really watch what you believe in and believe that this is all fading away and that we are forming a new earth now. We are all coming together to form these communities. We are believing in ourselves. We know we're the best at what we do. We know that we live our lives passionately. And when something grabs hold of us and starts to pull us down or pull us into quicksand or make us doubt ourselves, we shake it off like a duck. We shake it off. We go watch a funny cat video on YouTube of them crashing into walls, and we crack up till we cry, or we call a friend that we know will make us laugh, or we just do laugh therapy and laugh for a few minutes or whatever we got to do. But we take ourselves out of it and don't allow ourselves to go down that dark path. This is the test right now.
It makes
what is it you want to create?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Everything that we can touch and feel and see, I believe it's been tampered with, but in a Luciferian way, or by the Babylonian culture, whatever you want to call them, the ones that put fluoride in our drinking waters. But it's very difficult. I mean, I come from a religious background, and I don't consider myself to be religious, but I consider myself to be spiritual and in the connection of Christ consciousness and love, and to be peaceful. But you see, all of these religious books, I respect them, but because of what we've learned today, I have a very big question mark as to if they were really true books and they haven't been tampered with, why are they roaming around? Why is Apple and Google allowing it to be available when a doctor, not even Trump can be on Facebook, because of the truth? We're being censored. So why is the Bible being sold on the Apple store or Google store? Did you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
If it was the whole truth, then, shouldn't it be
right? Right. Exactly. So it's pretty much everything that they're censoring is actually true. And that which they're allowing to be seen and heard as lies or mixed lies.
All you have to look, I mean, not you, the listeners too, is look at the things that they're censoring us, when it comes to the virus or medical or, any kind of truth. And they go out of their ways to assassinate people who've spoken out against the New World Order, who have a very big influential position, which means that they're a threat to the globalists. So they get rid of them, like they did with JFK. And then when there was a big investigation, they created, the term conspiracy theorist, so they could play with people's ego, because they know that people who suffer from ego, most people who do, don't like to be called crazy or to be associated with crazy. So it works really well, the conspiracy theory term, to keep them away from the truth.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I read this book called Hollywood Propaganda. And if anybody can get their hands on that book, you need to read that book. It's phenomenal. And it breaks down exactly what Hollywood and TV and like everybody in that whole industry has been doing. And even authors, I mean, you name it, everything's been tampered with. But they've basically Trump was liked before all this. And I know we've heard this all before, but it's like Trump was liked before all this. And then they start putting all these like things to make fun of him in films and TV and like across the board, little messages everywhere. All they need is a little message where somebody that you really like, who's acting a part and a character in a TV show, to laugh and say, yeah, like Trump, and they just throw that little line in there. And it's enough to sink in subconsciously if, you're a retard, kind of, if you believe in that, so it's like, That's what they do though. And so this stupid program gets in there and you don't even know why, you're not even aware of it. It just sneaks in. And then you watch something else that says another comment about Trump or another comment about this. And there's all these labels that go out, you're stupid or crazy or a retard or whatever the label is, you put it on that thing. And we still have a society where you have to be cool. Celebrities, they're cool, they're accepted, they're up on this pedestal. And it's all been created by the Luciferians to disempower us. And you know what happens when we find true love? Oh, I'm undeserving. I'm not worthy. If something really good happens to it, the first thing I hear out of people's mouths. I just talked to someone earlier who said, I laughed so hard because I was like, I can't help it. I'm just laughing so hard right now because she said, I can't get fake nails. I was like, why? I don't feel worthy.
Grow your real ones if you feel really worthy.
I was like, what if you put on like Lee stick-on nails? Do you still feel unworthy? Like how you could train yourself to do your own nails for like $10 per set. It's not, but that's what we've been taught, is to look up to other people, and like this whole cool versus stupid people thing. It's all ridiculous. And you know what? The racism thing, not even true either. And you know that.
Absolutely. I think the way I look up to people is if they can offer me a lesson through, through moral. So if they're very clear in what they say or what they believe in, how they carry themselves, how they deal with situations, those are the type of people that inspire me. When someone's wearing Rolexes and don't get me wrong, I love a Rolex, but when someone is wearing Rolexes and they have a combination of these material things to show off, where their thinking is about lifting their ego, and I'm not interested in, I don't get inspired by that. I get inspired by respect, manners, discipline. Discipline is a big, when someone has discipline and they're very grounded, I have time all day long for them.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Everyone that's listening to this, and me and you, including, we are the black sheep of our families.
Oh, right? Yeah.
And we happen to be the ones that are disciplined. So you guys know what we're talking about, right?
Yeah. And having good boundaries too. When somebody, this is why it's so important to love ourselves, because when we love ourselves, we respect ourselves. And like, I look back on some of the relationships I've been in where I've been with total psychopaths, and like I spilled something and they had a conniption over it. Well, I obviously wasn't loving myself, that I went ahead and told myself, oh, well, he's kind of like my dad. I get my dad, so I think I can handle him too. If I would have loved myself back when that happened, I would have just immediately walked. I don't think I would have even said anything. I just would have got up from the table and walked out, because I would have known that's somebody who abuses people. That's just a mean person. I would never treat somebody like that. If you're saying about your person, I would never treat somebody like that, don't be involved in it. Don't, because you're not loving yourself if you do that. So, but I think we all need to get back to this worthiness thing. I think we need to get back to being like children.
Yes,
We need to have the awe and wonder of a child, ask a lot of questions, be curious, have fun. Like if she wants to be, go get nails on, pretend that you're playing, pretend that you're just with a little girlfriend. You guys are going to go put on some fake nails and it'll be really fun and cute. And, it's all in your head. Whatever you're creating is in your head, whether it's bad or good. I had another friend texted me yesterday. I feel like you're avoiding me. And you probably think that because the guy I love is ignoring me, that you can get away with it too. And all of this stuff. And I was like, did she even send me a message? I don't remember getting anything, and I get like 20, 30 messages sometimes in a day. And I'll even open something up and go, oh yeah, she's so right. And I won't respond because I forget and I get distracted. So, and I just left her this voicemail. And I said, this is why you need to do work on your mind. This is why you need to do Byron Katie's work or something that starts to deprogram your mind to jump to conclusions like this. Because I love you with all of my heart. I was not ignoring you. I didn't even know that you wrote me. I have been busy. I have been going through a lot lately. I was on a 20-hour road trip at the time, So all of this was in your head. And my reality of you is that I love you tremendously. And there would be nothing that could destroy that. And I could never get sick of you. But if you're convinced and you don't love yourself, if you're convinced that I am looking at it this way, then you will always see it that way. But it's not because of what I'm doing. It's because you don't love yourself. Mm-hmm. So you gotta, everyone watching this is the biggest message you can get out of this. Heal. Just like Q said at one point, heal. Stop judging anything. If there's something that you are mad about or you judge it, take it to paper. Examine that belief. Think about, anything anything that makes you mad or makes you feel victimized. I have an exercise that I always talk about on my channel. It's called Thank You, God, for My Misery. And you take a sheet of paper and you write at the top of it, you say, thank you, God, that I was abused as a kid. Like you use that all the time. Oh, I'm this way because I was abused and this terrible thing happened to me, right? Write that down. Thank you, God, for that thing. And God to me is a group of deities. It's not like this thing in the clouds that's unattainable. We can't talk to it, or you know what I mean? So thank you, God, for the bad thing, whatever the bad thing is. And then you list all the advantages and benefits as to why that thing was a perfect thing that happened. And you'll be amazed how it can turn your attitude around, turn your perception around, give you epiphanies and realizations you didn't have before, just because you took the time to sit down and brainstorm that idea.
Yeah. So you're saying that there are things that we go through in life that are bad, but they actually develop our characters for the better. It's a bit like me. I mean, my mom and dad threw me out when I was, 20 years old. But I get on with them really well now, and I thank them. And I said, they gave me a hard life, but, it gave me an easier life now. And, and I thank them for it. They don't understand, but I do.
Yeah. Well, there was a time when I've had podcasts, I've had radio shows, I've had so many different things that I've done. But at one point I had a producer who was kind of a co-host with me. He would ask me questions and I would answer and things like that. We had a really good thing going. He had this great voice and I thought it was a great show. It was called The Satori Show. It was on, Spotify and all that stuff. But he all of a sudden jumped ship. And I'm not going to go into the reasons for that, just to protect his privacy, but he jumped ship suddenly. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to do a podcast. I didn't know how he did all that he did. He did all the producing and everything. So I was like, what do? I have to do my next podcast in like 2 days. So I was like stunned and upset and betrayed. And I was going through all this. And then I said, well, what would I tell someone else to do in the same situation? Well, thank you, God, for my misery. So I took out a pad of paper and I said, thank you, God, that he jumped ship. And then I started to write everything down. And all of a sudden, started having all these cool epiphanies and ideas. And I thought, if I could learn this, how to do the producing and how to do the podcast, all that stuff by myself in the next 2 days, if I cram really hard, I can make the show whatever I want it to be. I can talk about whatever I want. I could do whatever I want. And I hired a male voice to be the introductory part, the disclaimer part. And then I just did what I wanted to. And I floundered and flopped around for a bit. And I was like in a basement by myself, talking to myself for an hour. And so I was like, well, what do I know to talk about for an hour? Well, I can talk about my life, what I've been through in my life. So that was the first show after this. I was just like, okay, well, let's start fresh. We're going to start a new chapter, everybody. It's just going to be me. And I'm going to tell you about my life. And it started from there. And everybody raved about the new show. And they all admitted that they didn't like the guy that was on there before. And it became a real hit and really caught on and people loved it. And now I do lives on YouTube twice a week. And it's those things, your higher self is taking you through the hard stuff on purpose to develop your character, like you said, but also to open up opportunities for you. But if I would have stayed in the victim mentality, feeling sorry for myself and been like whining about it, I probably would not have gone on to another show. I just would have been a victim for the rest of my life, sitting there pouting over how he ruined my life by jumping ship. So would you rather be miserable like that, or would you rather see the good in it? Why did your higher self put you through this? What was the purpose in it? And how can I benefit from it? And if you can do that on everything that you've ever had happen that you feel like you're victimized by or currently are, if you can just figure out why you're being put through it like that by realizing the benefits and advantages, all of a sudden you're going to feel like Hercules and you're going to thank God that you went through that or are going through that, because it's making you into Superwoman. It's making you even stronger. It's making you even more certain. It's making your intuition that much sharper,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. No, it's definitely believing in yourself and having that higher conscious awareness, because when you're at that stage, you don't let the ego or the fear get in the way that you might fail. No, you just go with it, and you always do really well. And that's putting your trust in God. And that's why you do so well, because
just play.
Yeah, exactly. Just be a child and play. Yeah. Well, Amy, it was lovely having you on and telling me your experiences for the Great Awakening. Is there anything that you would like to share with the or say to the listeners before we leave?
Actually, I was just nudged to do a light language blessing for you guys. So anyone who's not familiar with light language, it's basically channeled from your soul. It's a live energy that every time you listen to it, something different can happen. So you just set your intention for the good of all, and within everybody's free will, that whatever it is that they're wishing for, desiring, or would love to have happen with all their heart, that there is some energy that helps resolve any kind of blockages and bring solutions toward that thing happening and healing as well. So if you guys have any physical ailments or anything, this can help that as well. So everybody just drop your shoulders and relax. And this is going to sound a little funny, but it's really going to help with whatever you need help with right now. Okay. Hamama natai sanse shike e la hai. Hapum paba inachi kense. Hala oshon se piken tai. Hula homa ma natai sanse shike he pamba pae. Hala sense huma ma maena. Hala kirina taposa sensa e. Okay, so you guys can also catch me on my YouTube, which is Amy Satori. Just look for the Pink Lotus. But I've got lives that I do 2 to 4 Mountain Time every Monday and Thursday, if you'd like to join me there. And I explain the whole thing to you when I get on the live. But great meeting all of you. Thank you so much, Nicholas, for having me.
No, thank you so much.
Channel.
Thank you.
I love what you're doing.
Thank
And
you.
you're an inspiration. So keep it up. Thank you so much for being who you are. All
Thank
of you.
you. If you could give me your links, I will put them below in the description so that people can connect with you. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much and God bless.
You're welcome. You too.